What's up, my diggers? I hope the wind is not bothering you guys too much. I'll try and do this properly. Today's video is going to be a test and review on the functionality, in my opinion, of the Teknetics G2 Plus.
Like to say what's up, guy. It's our way to say hi. In February, it is good to know a plow guy. It is shaped like a key, also where I like to ski. Tell by my belt buckle that I'm most definitely from.
As you guys know, Fisher and Teknetics are kind of like brothers, so to speak. They both are First Texas company owned, and also Bounty Hunter is in there as well. Bounty Hunter is also First Texas. It's kind of like if you think of the car world, it's like Chevy is Bounty Hunter, and then Buick and Oldsmobile are Teknetics and Fisher. The F19 and the G2 Plus, this is a G2 box, but the machine inside is a G2 Plus. The F19 and the G2 Plus are basically the same machine, but the Teknetics has a little bit different ergonomics. So this is all put together. You can see the classic 8.5 by 11, I believe is the size, double D coil. Obviously it says Teknetics on the back of it. Looks a lot similar to the F19. Like I said, they're basically pretty much the same machine. Just to go over a few different things here real quick, and then we'll get to testing it out. Turn it on. Simple. Turn this knob. This knob is also your gain. So you can, once it runs through its motions, you can see your gain number right here. You know, turn it up, it goes higher, turn it down, it goes lower. Pretty simple. Then to ground balance, the next step you have to do when running this machine is to ground balance. To do that, you basically turn this knob. This is your threshold. Now you're in like an all metal kind of mode. More like a pulse induction type setup, but not pulse induction. So you turn this until you just hear the threshold. Press your ground grab button right here. Press and hold it till the two numbers line up. Okay. And then you can go back to discrimination mode. Your menu button, which is the ground grab, this is the menu button right here. This scrolls through the different features and adjustments you have available to you. First off, you're going to have is your backlight. There's a little tiny bulb indicator right there that tells you you're in the backlight mode. And then in the darkness, you have, I think, 4 settings, 4 brightnesses, maybe 5. It's sort of like a pink backlight Indiglo, like a pink backlight for the back of the screen. So after that, there's the backlight. Then you have your iron volume. This is at 7. It goes iron volume. You can have all the way up to 20, or you can have it down to 0, obviously. I'm going to leave it at 7, where the owner of this machine had it set. But that basically, all your lower tones are going to be a different volume than your high tones. So you can still hear them, but they're not like drowning out your high tone. Backlight, volume, V-break. You can set where your tone break is. If you saw, see there's a darker and a lighter. The lighter is going to be your low tone. The darker is going to be your high tone. Your V-break is the spot at which that tone changes. If you set it to 40, anything below 40 is going to be at low grunt. Anything above 40 is going to be a higher tone. So let's go over one more setting real quick. Okay, the notching feature on this is kind of complicated, and I just had to go through and play with it myself to figure it out. Your notch width, see where it says width? Okay, that's how many segments wide you want the notch. Now a notch is basically a selected number of VDIs or VDI numbers on this scale that will not make a noise on this machine, okay? So first you have your notch width. Do you want it 1 segment, 2 segments, 3 segments, 4 segments? however many segments you want that notch to be. Okay, and you can see down there we're going bigger on the segment. Your next option is in the notch itself. How many notches do you want there to be? And you can set how many notches you want there to be and use your arrows and bring those notches up the scale and set them wherever you want them to block out whatever you want to block out. Now, I am not going to go too far into detail on that because I don't notch things out. If you're a relic hunter, it's a bad idea to notch anything out. The only thing you want to know the difference between is ferrous and non-ferrous metals. If it's non-ferrous, dig it. If you notch out a 66, because all shotgun shells are 66, you're going to miss probably, you're going to miss buckles, buttons, some British coins hit at 66, gold rings, titanium rings hit at 66. So if you notch anything out, you're missing a whole bunch of stuff. So that's the machine in a nutshell. Let's get it out in this field, get a target or two, and see how she performs. All right, we got somewhat of a repeatable signal here. Kind of jumpy. We can pinpoint. And what you do to pinpoint is you go back and forth this way. You can hear the change in the pitch. When the pitch is at its highest, stop and then start going up and down. When you get to the highest pitch, the depth number is going to be at its lowest, okay? Then you go to that little black dot right there and dig however deep it tells you to under that dot. See, I'll show you. So, pinpoint, 4 inches. 4 inches at our lowest number. The black dot is right between those two rocks. So we're going to dig there and see what this is. Alright, so we got her out of the hole. Still a little frosty on the top here. First couple inches is kind of frozen. So it's in this pile here, but like a lot of these machines, it was this iffy signal anyway. It's even iffier now. At least you can hear that different tone in there, that grunt. Okay. So we got it out. Let's just see what it is. Alright, so that was actually a piece of coal. That's why it gave such a crappy signal. A lot of carbon, high carbon in these, so it mimics better metals, but there we go. It's hard to find. My pinpointer was having a hard time picking up because it's coal. It's not a very dense mineral, but the G2 Plus had no problem picking it up. On to the next one. Now here's one that behaved opposite of the last one. This one was a high 50s, low 60s number, and then I opened it up like you see there. I can hear a little, it's kind of reversed tone. I don't know if you can distinguish that. And a little grunt in there as well. Good numbers. Let's see if we can find it. Alright, we got it out. Whatever it is. And there it is. I think it's big iron. Well, big chunk of iron. But did you hear how that tone was sort of backwards? I don't know. I've tried to explain this to other people when I'm out hunting with them. How my Fisher does that too. Obviously same technology. It gives you the high number, but the tone is almost backwards. I don't know if that makes any sense to you. But instead of going beep, it's more like peeb. Like peeb, peeb. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's the best I can do. Chunk of iron. On to the next. Alright, here's a classic coin signal. 81. 82. A pinpoint. Now right under that dot, like I showed you, where the injection molding finishing was done, that dot, it says it's 1 inch below, 2 inches below that dot. So that dot was right here. Let's do a live dig. Right there in the sunlight. It's a memorial. Hey, here's another one. 53, 51, 54. Right there. Let's see what this one is. Okay, here's another one. Hear that little grunt in there though? That doesn't give me any promises. That's a 1, 2. And this way, 87. I'm still digging it. Right there at 5 inches. Okay, all right, we got it out of the hole, and it's right here now. 77, 76, 78. Again, out of the soil, it's a little bit different, but still something you're gonna dig no matter what. It's right here. It's it feels too light to be good lead for a musket ball, but it sure looks like a musket ball. I can't think of anything else that would be ringing up like that, but it's kind of light. Maybe an aluminum ball. It's one of those mixed up signals that you don't expect much out of, but you dig them anyway. I mean, right there I get a good upper 60s, low to mid 70s, but right next to it there's a piece of iron. So this could be one object made out of different metals. It could be a deep piece of tin, all the different angles and surfaces. Looks like a rainbow that this thing's trying to convert into numbers. Let's dig it and see what it is. I'm not expecting much out of this one either, but it could be a couple different items. And of course, it's the other half of that, other part of that Dunkin' Donuts cream cheese foil cover. That's why it was giving us a scrambly signal. Like I said, the signal's bouncing off all the different surfaces and peaks and valleys of this crumbled up piece of foil. Can I just point out one thing to all you corn farmers out there? When you're spacing out your corn seeds to grow your stalks, let's make sure that the spacing between them is at least big enough for my coil to go through. See, these are all unacceptable, too close together. See right here? That's what you want right there. That way I can swing, and then this one, I can swing, I don't lose any ground trying to skip over these things. See, that's too small. All right, let's get it together there, corn farmers, and we can work together. That is all. Here's another kind of jumpy one. 70s. So it sounds pretty good. Sounds kind of soft, maybe a chunk of aluminum or even lead, but it's right underneath this corn stalk. Let's pinpoint it and see what our depth reading is. What do we got? Right there at 3 or 4 inches. Let's see what he got. And as I suspected, don't ask me how I can tell when a tone is soft or sharp or backwards or whatever. It's just hearing these tones long enough and digging enough of these targets to relate the sound to it. These units here, the G2, G2 Plus, Gold Bug Pro, and the F19 use a variable, what's it called? A variable something or other oscillator. So it's got colorful audio. It changes in tone and pitch and length of tone and stuff like that. Even though it's only one tone, the pitch changes. Here's another one. It's a little mixed up and rather deep. 7 inches right here. It could be a coin on edge. It's got those really lovely diggable numbers you like to hear. Let's see what it is. It sounds pretty good. And we've been duped by the square nail over here in the side wall. Kind of weird, but give me a good nickel signal, but it goes up a little bit higher. Hear how it's double? Hear that double? That's the great separation that these machines have. That's telling me that what I'm looking at is either 2 targets or there's maybe a ring pull or even a ring, and it's catching both sides of the ring. Kind of high for a nickel. So 3 inches right there. Let's see what it is. Here it is. Yep, see that? It's not a ring or a pull tab, but you can see it's got, if you were swinging the coil across it, you hear double tones. That's why, because it was catching this side, and then this piece, maybe even that piece. Okay, here's another scrambly mixed up signal. You hear the little grunt in there too? See, it's all the way up to 70s, 60s. This is why you dig mixed up signals. I mean, it's not a super great prize or nothing like that, but it is a really cool tomback button. A lot of tomback buttons had an iron post, so that's where we're getting that little tiny grunt in there. You see the little post that's left over? That's still visible. That's actually iron, or some sort of tin maybe. That's tomback. Sweet. So here's a scenario for you relic hunters that do a lot of cellar hole hunting. You'll recognize this noise. Just garbage everywhere. But I had one signal trying to peek out right over here. Right in there. See if I can pinpoint on it. 4 inches. Right there. Amongst all this garbage. That one wants to come out. Let's see what we get. Okay, so that was a little tiny piece of copper wire. Right about 4 inches, just like it said. The point of that demonstration wasn't so much to prove what this was, but what it wasn't. It wasn't iron, okay? It's like a clipping off of maybe a piece of Romex wire or something like that. There used to be a building in this area back in the day, probably a shed, early 1900s to into the 50s. So like I said, wasn't to prove what it was, but what it wasn't. So the separation abilities of these units is pretty impressive. All right, we'll do a semi-live dig here. I got a repeatable signal. I've already dug out part of the plug, and it cleaned up a little bit better. Kind of scrambly, but got good numbers. Oh, there it is. It is a button. She wasn't super deep, maybe 5 inches, 4 or 5 inches. I don't think there's anything on it. No fancies, no chickens. But I like it. One thing I did notice though, if you hear the chatter, that's actually my pinpointer somewhat interfering with the G2. It doesn't do that with my gold bug. I don't know what that is. Seeing it stopped. It's not a bad thing. Just I think it just means the machine's pretty sensitive to EMI and that kind of stuff. So we'll carry on. Here's one right on the surface. One thing I like about turnt fields is Stuff at the bottom comes to the top, but you know, the thing I don't like is stuff at the top goes to the bottom. 75, ringing pretty good. Could be a bullet. Could be a button. Could be something. Could be nothing. I'm just gonna have to see. Here it is. And it's a piece of trash. But it's old trash. Looks like a clump of copper maybe. Here's one I can pretty much see. I just picked it up like this. You see we can go way up high with the coil and still get somewhat of a signal. But it's nice and clean. I see what looks like maybe a button washed up. Turned up on the surface here. 70, 71, 77, bouncing around. I'm thinking button. Maybe a dandy button or a flat button. It's pretty loud. Whatever it is. Right here. Oh, wait. What is that? That looks coinish. Oh. It's a coin of some sort. Have to wait for it to dry up and clean it off a little bit. I do get a lot of Spanish coins out of here. This field, it's a community-owned type of field. That's what you call conservation land. And there has been seeded hunts here before. And a lot of the coins in that seeded hunt were old Spanish. No silvers so far from that type of stuff, but I'll have to get back to you on what this one is. I got a date. We have a date. 1870 something. Is that right? 1870. Hold on. The mud is sticky mud. 1870 it looks like. Here's another one right on the surface. Loud as heck. Nice clean nickel signal. That's a nickel signal all day long. I just kicked over this little clump of mud right here. And again, I can see the edge of what looks like a coin. This one's probably going to be a buffalo. No. Oh, wow. It's a V-nickel. 1910. V-nickel. That's the second V-nickel out of this field that I know of. Mom got one last year. Although, it's going to clean up right nice. On the surface, again, a nice 1910 V-nickel. Sweet. And the classic 66, which could be anything from a shotgun shell to a gold ring. I just flipped this little plug out here. It's pretty much on the surface. I don't know if this is a coin or a button, but we're going to extract. And she's got some frosties on her. I don't know. Maybe Slick Rick. Hard to tell. She's wafer thin too. Look at that. Look how thin that is. Oh, here's a good one for a live dig. Right in that lump right there. I could probably kick it over. And there it is. I don't know what it is. It's big. It's my last dig for the day. Maybe another one of them right Spanish there. Coins. I don't know what it is. She's cleaning up kind of like it's been cleaned before. So I'm going to guess one of them old Spanish coins that I get out of here. Maybe not my last dig. I'm going to detect all the way back to the truck, so we'll see what we get between here and there. Always check your hole. That's where that last copper came out of. And right there, give me a 77 on the VDI. It had a friend. And I know this one's a Spanish one. I've dug this particular kind before. But again, check them, check them, check them. You just don't know. I don't mind digging these. I know the story behind them and how they got here. And, you know, to me, hunting a seeded field is kind of like fishing in a stocked pond. But it's still fun, you know. My son loves these. He puts them in his collection. I can tell what in this field is legit and what was seeded and what not. So it's still fun, though. It's still a good test for the gold bug. Granted, obviously these weren't very deep, but still fun. Now here's a type of signal I've actually been looking for to show you what I mean by a backwards tone with a good number on these machines here. Hear it? It's giving me great numbers. It pinpoints right there at 3 inches, but listen to that tone. Look at the number and listen to the tone. Here it's kind of backwards. Let's dig this one up and see what she is. I'm guessing iron, big iron, but let's see what we get. And sure enough, seems to be like an old tractor nut that's been rotting away for a long time. But it's big iron, and you get that crazy sound. Even though it's giving you great numbers, it's telling you the size. Your high numbers is kind of telling you your size, that the machine's saying, hey, that's about the size of a big copper, or, you know, possibly a silver coin of some kind. But in actuality, you hear that tone, that reverse. It's kind of like a weep, weep, weep. Tells me that it's big iron. So do a quick tailgate wrap up for you here, folks. First, I'd like to say thank you to First Texas, and specifically Russ, who helped facilitate this, and Felix over there, both great guys. Felix is actually the guy in the service department who's working on my gold bug, and Russ is the guy who loaned me his personal G2 Plus, and I told him I would do a little test and review. Here's the garbage. You're still going to dig trash, and the keepers for the day right here. There was a 22 round there, a piece of horse tack, and some copper something or other. A couple of buttons, a little convex button, and a little flat Tomback button. This, I don't know if it's steel or aluminum or pewter, but it's some kind of a ball. Maybe a ball bearing out of a tractor, could have been. And then the coins, this is a 10 Cintavos, 1870 10 Cintavos. This is a 1875 Cintavos. This one, I'm not sure. I'll have to do some more research on it, but I can't really see much on there. I see the silhouette of a man's head, but can't quite tell. That's going to be a planted Spanish as well. The legit finds for the day is this 1910 V-nickel in pretty good shape, and this almost slick, but I do believe this is a farthing, a British farthing. I'm not going to be able to get a year on it until I get some more cleaning. Sorry for the shakiness, guys. It's kind of chilly out here, and I haven't been moving around for a few minutes, so I'm chilling out. So that I can see Britannia on the back here pretty clearly. I'm sure you can too, and the date's going to be underneath there. And I can see the silhouette of a man's head somewhat, but until I do some more cleaning, it may be a slick rick. We don't know. We just don't know. And there you have it, folks. The G2 Plus by Teknetics. Very, very deep machine on small targets and large targets, obviously. Runs at 19 kilohertz. Backlight, volume control, notching, all the bells and whistles and doodads you'd want in a detector. Super, super light. I think it's like, I don't know, 2.5 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood. And quite reliable. Runs on a 9-volt battery. And on my gold bug, I get about, I'd I'd say 2.5 days, 2.5 day hunts out of a 9-volt battery. So these, if you're running the backlight and, you know, all that kind of stuff, maybe a little less, but they do really good. They're quite economical on batteries. So thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's a little bit long as far as the test and reviews go, but I want to be thorough and honest. So, and as always, swing, beep, dig.
Yeah, I'm up at Conway, now I'm down in Manchester, next to Adam Sandler, but I'll be Woods forever. I'm the new Salinger, cause I could live anywhere, but I choose to live here, the middle of nowhere. I used to shop in Salem, next to Rockingham Park, right there up on 28, you'll find Canopy Lake Park. Bring me up to Portsmouth, the saloon at State Street, catch me up at Gillies after hours for some late